up, second cousins? Welcome to this Court Cousins trade deadline special. You might have seen on the thumbnail, this is the third installment of the Quiet Place series, also known as Jeff Weltman's Office. See, I'm already stealing Pich's jokes that he made last time, so it's going to be a whole new show this time around. We have recorded this before, but some of you out there clicked in, and you saw that Pich had absolutely zero volume. So here we are again, Pich.
You heard me. We did a whole entire show.
It was so good.
A jocular show, might I add. It was fantastic. We have to try to recapture that magic. You have to pretend you're not going to hear these jokes that I've said. And we're just going to do it again because it was good. It was good. I was so deflated because it was good.
Right.
And I was like, shit.
Yeah. It's tough to do it again, but as I said, I'm going to steal all of your jokes, so you're going to have to come up with some other fresh shit because people are going to think I'm the funny guy. And I like that.
Well, that's okay because I don't like to repeat things anyway. It gives me weird vibes. I like to go off the cuff. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, it feels like we've repeated this scenario again. It feels a little bit like Groundhog Day, Pich. And second cousins, you all know this very well. Another extremely quiet, in fact, a cricket's quiet trade deadline for the Orlando Magic. No moves are made. The over on Reddit, the come on, do something emoji guy came out and nothing happened. Okay. And then, people like our boy Skinny was ready to just light himself a flame in the gas fire. He says this is genuinely the most asinine thing I've seen from this front office. Scooter Magruder, quite possibly the second most famous Magic fan behind Pich, put out a hilarious video with just crickets. So we're not doing anything, he asks. No, Scooter, we are not doing anything. Because why would we? Jeff Weltman, he's just so patient, Pich. He's not going to be rushed into anything. Because why? We don't need to make any moves. We're still evaluating, Pich.
Well, first of all, I didn't know Scooter was famous. I thought I just see him because he's a Magic fan. I didn't realize he does. Like, I see a lot of Magic people's content, but I don't know how widespread they're known. And there's no way I'm even in the top 5, let's be honest.
Come on.
Magic content fame.
Stuff. And Pich, it's like right there, man.
I mean, God's got to be on the top. He's peaking right now. He's in his prime. If you're a fan, I mean, go. He doesn't pay us anything for this. I'm just telling you where to get a good laugh at some Magic content right now. And the guy's in his bag. He's in his bag so deep. Oh, he may never come out.
Well, let's go to this one right here. God's letting us know from CNN that the U.S. national debt is now $31.4 trillion. And Jenna Ortega, it's a little bit much for me, and we'll see what happens now with the national deficit. But Jenna Ortega has a plan, and she says, you know what, all the Treasury Department needs to do is just put a $38 trillion bet on the Magic not to do anything at the trade deadline, and there you go. Financial crises solved. Just Welt God continuing to come through. Jenna Ortega knows ball.
It's got legs.
More ways than one. In more ways
I
than
think
one.
The best way to do it would be to take it to another country's casino, though, because I feel like if you take it from an American casino, I feel like that could hurt things. I think we need to. You got to find somebody else that let's go up to Canada. Sounds like they're trying to merge here, right? Like we're talking merger. Let's get it on the books.
Oh man,
free healthcare for all these people.
We're joking. We're having a good time because what else can we do, Magic fans? Nothing happens at the trade deadline. Even though Dennis Schroeder was moved 4 times, the Magic stand pat, and it's frustrating. And there's a lot of folks out there with that frustration. I pulled this one off of Reddit. As of February 6th, the Orlando Magic rank 30th in points per game. That's last, everybody. That's last, second cousins. Keeping track out there. 30th in three-point shooting percentage. 28th in just shooting percentage. 29th in offensive efficiency. And, we've still got all of our draft capital. So I guess we're holding on to it for, I don't know. Yeah. Like, what?
Wow.
What? Pich, why didn't we make a move? What do you make? Like, how do you, are you rationalizing this? Are you just pissed off? What's the fuck's going on?
Well, there comes a point in time where you just kind of are like, well, I guess this is who we are. So fine. Because we don't make moves at the trade deadline. I guess we don't make moves. This front office seems to think we're good. That's the most concerning thing. If you take one thing away from what you're seeing here with us today, other than a joke here or there, when a front office doesn't make any moves at all at the trade deadline, they're telling you we're good. And with those numbers that my cousin just peeled off, we're not good. And when you take a look at the standings, also we're not good. So like not making a move is like very questionable. And it's not like we have 3 superstars currently out or something where you go, oh, we just have a lot of players injured right now. Guys are coming back. Things should be improving and they're not. So it's concerning to be in the play-in currently and not be a team making a move. It's also concerning just, and I know this may sound trivial to some people, but like every other team did something. Some teams made the biggest trade of all time. We'll talk about that later.
Yep.
But every team did something. And I mean, here's a team that loves cash considerations. They weren't considered at all here today. And no point did they ever think, oh, we have to make the Lakers better because that's what we do. And we didn't do that either. I mean, the Mavs took care of that, I guess. But it just was it's an odd message to send to your fan base that we're not going to even be a factor on this day where the NBA is taking the media by storm of all sports. It's Super Bowl week, and people were talking about the NBA more than football because everyone's going to boycott that game anyway because no one cares. And it just doesn't make sense to me that the Orlando Magic don't want to get on the board somehow, right? They're talking about all the get on the board, dump some second round picks, bring someone in who can shoot. This team cannot shoot. Wherever you go in Orlando Magic world, be it IG, be it Facebook, whatever you got, Threads, whatever that new one is with a butterfly or some shit. It's called Twitter. It's like Twitter for other people or something. Everywhere you go, Magic fans know we can't shoot the ball. And you know what? Other teams know it too. And you don't even think about trying to go find someone who can shoot. Just shoot. Maybe they can't play defense, but someone who can just shoot and score the basketball because we goddamn need it. And everybody knows our MO. So by doing nothing, it's not a great message to send to our fans. And unless we go on a mega run and finish in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference, this was a missed opportunity to get better. And I don't want to hear anything about people saying it's not our window. It's not our window. We've got a good young team. We've played together for a few years now. It is time to make steps forward. And not doing anything in this trade deadline, I think, is a big, big miss for us. There were some opportunities to get some stuff. And when you saw that biggest trade of them all, I know I'm going long-winded on this one, but I'm saying if Luka is going for that, then you got to tell me that the market was probably lower for other stuff that's less than Luka, right? So go find something. Go bring in a shooter. Find somebody who fits the bill here. You can't tell me there was nothing out there. I know they looked for stuff, but you can't tell me there wasn't anything that you could do. And sometimes you just have to make a move for move's sake. And I think that's what they needed to do to tell the fans, hey, look, we're going to try something. And they didn't do that. So it's kind of like, do you guys care? You want us to care, right? What's up?
Yeah.
How you feeling about it? Probably similar.
Yeah. Well, Pich, I've been a big Weltman defender. Okay. And I've admired his patience along the way in developing this team. But Pich, just like you said, this team's not good right now. We are, in our last 20 games, 6-14. That is the 26th worst record in the NBA over that time period. And that is a quarter of the season. That's not nothing. And okay, maybe you want to cry small sample size, but ladies and gentlemen, this is the same team we've been seeing with the same areas of weakness for the past 3 years, right? And Weltman, again, kind of sits on his hands, not kind of, does, and does nothing. And it just seems, like you said, like a major oversight. A move really needed to be made. Again, if vibes were high and we were in that top 5, even top 6 in the Eastern Conference, yeah, let's not fuck with that. Let's let the young men cook. Let's just see how it goes. We don't want to mess up mid-season. That could be catastrophic. But we are currently in 8th place in the Eastern Conference. And I think we are maybe 3 games away from 10th place. Let me look right here. We're in 8th place.
Danger!
Yeah. 2.5 games ahead of the Bulls, who are in 10th place. We're only 3.5 games. 3.5 games ahead of the 11th place 76ers. We're going to get guys back, and that's, not a team you want to be looking over your shoulder to. Peach, this season so far has been a disappointment. I love mystical. I love all these mystical. Whoa! Shake your ass. Watch yourself. Danger.
Yeah. I brought him to the background. Yeah, I know. I said it on the show that I had no sound on. So let me say it again here, loud and clear. We love the idea of building that growth flower. We've talked about it since this podcast has started. We like this team is getting together and gelling because so many other players are fluid and moving in and out of all these other teams. So if anything that's good here is that, hey, it's a bond. We're showing that this team is together. They've played together for a while. We don't make a lot of big moves. Everybody's staying close knit, and that's a good thing to have. But, and this is a big but.
Ooh, I love big
butts. This is the modern NBA. It is. That's right. You got to shake your ass. It's a modern NBA. You've got to bring in a star. You've got to bring in multiple stars. Teams don't win with 1 star. They don't win with 2 stars. They win with 3 now, right? Ever since the Heat put that triplet group together, 3 kind of seems like your standard. Two megas or 2 minis and a major or something like that. And to make no moves with all those holes just sort of feels like, all right, well, if the big star wasn't out there that you wanted, that's fine, but I'd also love to hear that. Mm-hmm. I would love to hear you say in a press conference afterwards that, like, we have some plans for the off season, or we're planning on something that, if they're cooking something up and they've already started it simmering, why don't you let me know? Because I want to know if I should stick around for dinner. I just, that could be in the works. There could be somebody in the offseason they really want to go make a run at, so they don't want to screw with shit now because they do have the capital they like. That's one of the only things that kind of makes this like a little digestible, but it is a little difficult at this point in the season with the team playing the way they are to just kind of go, well, I guess we're just going to continue from here. All these other teams added some shiny new pieces that it's kind of fun to watch. Hell, I've even looked in on a few other NBA teams' games in the last couple of days just to like see these guys in their new uniforms, see if they're gelling, see how it's going, just out of curiosity. Who as a regular NBA fan wants to watch the Orlando Magic right now? Not a goddamn person. So something's got to change.
Yeah. No, that is unfortunate because at the beginning of the season, a lot of podcasts, national podcasts, were giving the Magic buzz and talking about this is a team to watch. And it was for a little while, but then, of course, injuries, the wheels fell off. And like you said, like you alluded to, maybe they were keeping their pieces for a big move this summer. A lot of people are now calling for Trae Young with all the assets that we have and making a move there. And maybe that is the move. And maybe, like the Ghost of Geert says, that he noticed that none of the guys that have been in the talks, like Colin Sexton, Anthony Simons, Cam Johnson, Kobe White, those are all guys rumored around the Magic. Maybe the asking price was too high, and when Weltman came out right after the trade deadline yesterday and talked to the Orlando Sentinel, that's essentially what he said. And I have the quote right here. What did he say? He said, basically, we were aggressive, this is the quote, in seeking out what we thought could be equitable deals, and they didn't shape up. That's Magic president Jeff Weltman at 3 p.m. as the deadline passed. And okay, I guess, Jeff, like that's, if you're looking for a big piece and it wasn't there, okay. I don't want you to mortgage the future for something that you don't think really moves the needle, because I would say, right, we're not in that championship window, so we don't want to make that push in. These guys are still young. I would argue we do have our 2 stars. We've got Franz, we got Paulo. They're still young. Franz hasn't even moved on to his new deal. He will next year. Paulo hasn't even inked his new deal. So we're working with these guys. Jalen Suggs is on the extension starting next year. This core, those 3 guys specifically, are going to be together for the next 4 to 6 years under contract at least. But man, nothing, Weltman. Like I talked about it before, Pish. We're way past evaluation. Okay. And there was a lot of teams that made moves around the peripheral. if we weren't going to make the splash move, fine. But, man, we talked about it earlier. Freaking Dennis Schröder, the other guard from the German national team, yeah? It would have been nice to have him, and he was traded multiple times, 4 times in the one day, and we couldn't
somebody in our organization must dislike him at this point. With the amount he's been available and how well he would mesh with some of the guys already on our team, which has been proven, I just don't get it. Like, there must be a dislike for him. It's like maybe he doesn't get along with Cole Anthony or something. I know there must be some beef, because why isn't this guy on our team? Nobody else seems to want him. They keep throwing him around.
We could have had him as a free agent this summer. Didn't. I think the last time he got moved... The last time he got moved was for a couple second-round picks. I don't have that trade specifically up in front of me, but it wasn't.
I don't think he's
crazy.
A great three-point shooter, but he's a shooter.
And he's a creator too, because you can just see there's so much focus on Paolo and Franz, and teams have figured this out, man. You watch all these recent games, and the blueprint's there. Teams are sagging off the three-point line. They're daring us to shoot. And we shoot and we miss. And so Paolo and Franz are continuously running into 2, 3, 4 jerseys that are just clogging the paint. And it's making that really difficult for them. And my beef is, I got a couple beefs, but this is the one. This is my General Sal's beef right now, okay, is are we hurting the development of Franz and Paolo by being negligent in not putting the right pieces around them? And what I'm talking about is, look at the Houston Rockets. We were ahead of them, man. They make a move to get Van Vliet. Everyone kind of laughed at it. It seemed like a lot of money, but it looks like a good move now. They brought in a veteran point guard so that those young guys coming in could have someone to put the pieces in the right place. You know?
Yep.
That's something that's valuable. You got Victor Wembanyama. They brought in Chris Paul, the point god, to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
And Paolo and Franz are still... working with Anthony Black. No offense, but the man is just turned 21. He's not going to be the steadying force. The veterans that we're bringing in, shooting guards, Gary Harris, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, maybe vocal leaders, but they're not really helping the flow of the game necessarily. They're not helping Paolo and Franz get into spots to more easily score.
Mm-hmm.
So by not making moves...
Veteran point guard is so important.
Right. And there's been options to get him. I've been crying the Tyus Jones since the summer. Dennis Schröder is another example, right? And it's not necessarily a big move, but maybe a small move. I'll go to the Lakers. The Lakers, and we got to talk about the Luka Dončić thing because Pich is in Dallas, for those of you that don't know. But after that blockbuster move, they made, honestly, a crazier trade for me. They go to the Charlotte Hornets to get Mark Williams, who was the center with Paolo Banchero on that Duke team. Solid center, but oft injured. You're telling me, we couldn't say, hey, what do you think about – I love him, all right, so don't jump down my throat. What do you think about Goga Bitadze? He's on a 2+1 deal, a very affordable deal, Lakers. He gives you that same amount of rim protection. Hey, Lakers, what do you think about a Jonathan Isaac? He can play the 5. For Mark Williams, the Lakers gave up Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, their 2031 first-round pick, and a 2030 pick swap. And so, I wouldn't love our depth at big man if we sent Goga or J.I. out. But if we got Dalton Connect, who was like the 14th pick in the draft, and some more capital, and then you can turn that around and Jonas Valanciunas went to for 2 second-round picks. Bring him in. Make some other moves to shore up the depth at center, and now you have more assets for the summer. There weren't any peripheral moves, man. And Peach, just one more thing. This is my stir-fry. This is my Szechuan beef right now, okay, is we're done evaluating, man. I love Caleb Houston, but he's just, he can shoot the ball fine, but he's not probably going to be an NBA player much longer. Hey, man, I'm sorry. I love Cole Anthony, but he's kind of what he is, right? I'm sorry. He's a cusp, guy. He's a rotation guy. I love Jet Howard. I think I've seen enough, at least on the Magic. He's not getting playing time. So what the fuck are we doing? These are all guys on the edge of the rotation. Gary Harris, what the hell? Jonathan Isaac, I've seen enough. All of these guys we should have been fielding calls about to see if we could have made some of these moves to get the Lakers, who are desperate and trying to win now, to give us Dalton Connect and 2 first-round picks or a first-round pick and a swap. We didn't do anything, Pish, not to help our team now, not to help our team in the future, and I'm enraged.
I've gotten more mad as I've listened to you talk because you're making great points, sir. And I love that you have multiple beefs and that you've named them. It's upsetting to hear the other guys going other places for stuff, and you're like, oh, we didn't have 2 second-round picks for Jonas Valanciunas, because I think we did.
Yeah.
And then it makes some of our guys expendable at that point. It's almost like we didn't want to think 2 trades ahead or something like that. Like we only want to do one deal, and we can't move out big men because we need the big men. And it's like, when your team has holes, you can fill them.
Yeah.
And you could get shooters to score the basketball. They're out there, right? Like even Cam Reddish, who's a throwaway maybe in that to some,
right?
He can score the basketball. Like I'm just desperate for somebody to come on this team that can goddamn shoot a 3 consistently. And a couple of the guys we have, you just mentioned, Caleb and Jet are supposed to be some of our 3-point shooting whiz, but they don't really even get any time to show it.
Right?
And Jet shoot the 3. I don't know. Put him out there. Let him throw some up, because Christ, everybody else is missing him. So, let him have a chance at this point. Let him get that playing time. Let's see what he's got. I think you're right about Caleb Houston, maybe. But sadly, you're talking about getting rid of 2 guys who are our best 3-point shooters, and they shouldn't be our best 3-point shooters because they're not playing in games. So something needs to change. At some point, somebody has to tell Coach Mose, I've joked about this on the show several times, you can't just score 1 basket and win the game 2-0. You do have to get somebody that can score points to win in the NBA. It's the modern NBA, and that's the way it goes. Your defense can be great, and it can really help you in some clutch spots. And I'm not mad that we have a great defense, but you do need to score points. You can't just rely on defense. It's not like the NFL where your defense can score for you. It's not really like that. And something needs to happen for us to hit that next level. And to have done nothing at this trade deadline makes me wonder if they're trying that hard.
Yeah, and a point that you brought up the first time that we recorded that I can now steal now because I'm bringing it up for the first time on this show is
defense winning you a championship.
It makes you kind of question, what is Jeff Weltman's relationship with other front offices around the league? Because this is multiple trade deadlines where it's been really, really quiet, and he's been doing a good job with drafts. And yeah, he got off Vooch and Aaron Gordon and Evan Fournier, but that's a time when we were selling and people were probably calling. So what if this trend continues? That is starting to be the chink in the armor. Defend the kingdom, right, Jeff? The chink in the armor of Jeff Weltman. And it's something to question. It's something to think about. And he's been great at building teams. He did it in Milwaukee. He's doing it here. But will he have that juice to make the trade to get us over the hump? And that is a question that begs to be asked after multiple very quiet trade deadlines.
Yeah, at some point, it's hard to think 3 deadlines go by, and the most we really did was dumping Mo Bamba.
And we got Bol.
Or no, picking up Bol. Sorry. Yeah. It was like, at least that was something, right? Like it was nothing in retrospect, but at the time it was like, hey, all right, this could be fun. We were just needed to throw us a bone, right? Like we're out in the street, we're hungry. This guy wants beef because we're out on the street and
hungry.
I don't know. I'm confused by the lack of care of a move. Yeah, I've never been a fan of Trae Young, but at this point, bring him on. I don't think the Hawks are selling, by the way. I think the Hawks are.
No, they sold. They sold there at the deadline. They got rid of DeAndre Hunter. They sent him to even the Cavaliers. Hunter, yeah. The Cavaliers are number 1 in the Eastern Conference, and they're saying to themselves, "Yeah, we can get better." And we're 8, and we're almost like, "Nah, we're good. We're good."
Almost every team did something, and then we just were like, we're all right. And it's like, hey, if you're in the top 4 of your conference, you could make that claim, but we're not. So, and we could be, right? I feel like we're just a move away. I think if our guys have been healthy all year, it could be different, but still, it's okay to try to make a trade to get up over the hump. Teams have had a lot of success with it. The Mavs had success with it last year. It can be done. I don't know if they're going to have success with it this year, but we will see.
We hear him. I think he did an interview with Mike Bianchi in Orlando, and I saw something about Weltman talking about the injuries, how we've been injured all year. But man, Pish, that's so played because, hey, Jeff, you kind of built a team that's got a bunch of injury-prone guys. You got Jonathan Isaac on there, who you wanted to extend. You've got you brought back Gary Harris, who barely played and now has barely played again. You extended Wendell Carter Jr., which I think made him trade ineligible at this deadline.
It did.
And prior to that extension, there was a lot of buzz about him being on a really affordable and nice contract. So you screwed yourself in that respect. You've kind of built an injury-prone team. I mean, you were hoping the pillars, Franz and Paulo, they've been pretty Iron Men, but they went down this year, and then everything kind of fell apart. Jalen Suggs, love the guy, but he goes so hard he gets nicked up. So I'm not going to hear, no one's going to cry for you with the injury thing and say, oh, when our team is healthy, we're great. Yeah, man, but we haven't really been healthy for 3 seasons. We had some time last year, but what the hell, man? What the hell? It's frustrating, Pish.
I don't know, man. Yeah, the other thing I want to say, and I didn't say this last episode, so this is fresh and new.
Ooh, I love it.
I'm starting to, whenever I hear Weltman speak, especially if he's speaking to the Orlando Sentinel, I don't believe any of it. I'm sorry. I just don't. I feel like this is like when you hear about people covering up stuff for Biden's son or whatever. It's just, I don't buy any of it. Like I just sort of like,
Weltman's out here giving himself pardons.
He's just out there cooking up. He's just saying like something generic for the generic say, just because he knows he should give an interview. So he picks somebody that he knows won't give the real skinny. And I just don't feel like he's that. When I hear him on the mic, I don't feel like he's a genuine dude. I don't believe him. You know what I mean? And I don't like guarded. That. I'm sure he could be a good guy. I don't know him. I'm not claiming to know him. I'm just saying some people get on the mic. They've got a charisma. They'd be like, oh, I'd have a beer with that guy. Or, oh, that guy's a straight shooter. He's telling it like it is. I don't feel like he's a straight shooter. I feel like he's just saying what he thinks needs to be said out there just to keep a good image. And doesn't have a bad image, but it's sort of like, I don't know how much you're being so secretive.
Right.
But like at this point, what have you been secretive about that's been good? The Paulo draft? Other than that, there hasn't been anything that's been real. But teams are always secretive about who they're going to pick. It's not a secret.
I guess. But also, who gives a shit? You were the number 1 draft pick. You could have said all along you were drafting Paulo. No one could have stopped you. Like, you didn't need to be secretive about that.
But for some reason, he was Mr. Secretive because he feels like he doesn't need to do anything. And look, you didn't use it. God damn it. I thought you would. But I think he feels like when trade deadline comes along, that like if he makes any kind of noise or sound, that he's going to get attacked by a monster. And it's going to be like a quiet place. Mm-hmm. So that's really kind of what the trade deadline is for him, is it's just like, I'm just going to lay low. And then it'll just pass over and we'll all be alive at the end. And it's like, yeah, but if you made a move and you killed the monster, then you could walk out safely, step on a branch and live. So, I mean, but I just feel like there's no way he would ever do that. And to be fair, maybe I wouldn't either. Those monsters, I wouldn't fuck with them. But I don't know. It's a very strange thing. And it doesn't make me I don't feel a good connection to this man. Whereas some people did, like Cubes, when Cubes was in Dallas, that guy had, he's got charisma. He's out there. Maybe he's a little too boisterous. Maybe dumb it down a little. Don't need the guy on the sidelines all the time or in the huddle. But like, I want to feel more connected when he talks and believe him and be like, yeah, I love this guy. He's doing good work out there. Like we don't know if he's doing good work out there. Maybe the trades he turned down were good to turn down. We don't know.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. You never know.
Well, who's a good person to hang out with, a real good guy to kick it with? Pish. You are, Pish. And Pish and I will be down in Orlando for March 29th for the 3rd annual family reunion, Court Cousins night, where our Magic will be taking on the Kings. If you've been listening and watching this long, you need to get tickets. It's in the description. Huge discounts. We're all going to get together. We're going to do tons of giveaways. It's going to be a great time. I hope to see you all there. You bring up a really good point, though, about how Weltman plays everything close to the vest. And I think if I had to choose one side or the other, I would rather have my general manager more tight-lipped, because loose lips sink ships. And he's very kind of business-like in the way that he approaches things and the way that he answers questions. But if he carries that over into the way that he negotiates, that might rub some people the wrong way, especially when you kind of have all these nouveau managers who are coming from marketing careers and coming from agencies, and they seem to be a little bit more shoot by the hip and just ready to chop it up. And I mean, Nico Harrison called Pelinka and they're just like, yo, what's up, man? I want to get rid of Luka. That type of shit. Like, are they calling?
Yeah, they
Weltman
talked
like
about that for weeks, apparently, right? Like, I don't see any NBA GM going, man, I got to think about a trade. Let me call my boy Weltman. I don't think anyone says my boy Weltman. Like, I don't even think that phrase has been said by anyone seriously. Like, I think it's more of a joke, probably, because it just doesn't seem like he's that kind of guy, which, it's, hey, to each their own, different strokes for different folks. But to be a good NBA GM, I think you've got to have a little charisma to want to be able to, you can probably talk some people out of some stuff and make some deals that maybe they wouldn't normally make if you gotta get out there a little bit, let's go. Like, like put some sunglasses on, go dance at the wedding. Don't just sit at the table the whole time. Like I'm
Peach,
just now
Peach, I have to be wearing these sunglasses because I have an eye infection. I have to wear these sunglasses. All right. So don't even come for me.
Show the eye.
You want to see it? You want to see it, second cousins?
Show it.
I do have an eye infection.
We got to pixel that out. That looks lewd.
I have an eye vagina right now. It's swollen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll play devil's advocate for a quick second just to defend my boy Jeff Weltman. So I just said it. So maybe...
You defend Jeff Weltman like Jalen Suggs.
Okay, so I'm going to try to rationalize it. Got to play a little devil's advocate because we got to observe both sides of the coin here. And, since the new collective bargaining agreement and the introduction of the second apron, which is existing and operating pretty much like a hard cap because it doesn't allow teams to do much. I think you can just do pretty much 1-for-1 swaps, but you really can't move much. You can't get any exceptions or anything like that. So teams you can see are really making moves to stay away from that second apron. And as a result, we see the value of first-round picks going up. I don't think in this environment we would see something like Rudy Gobert trade where you're getting four first-round picks for kind of like a fringe guy. I know De'Aaron Fox, I think they got 3 and some swaps, but those were coming from different places, and the Spurs had plenty of them, so it was a little bit different of a circumstance. I think that because of that, the value is going up. You mentioned it earlier. A lot of these teams back in the day, it was the big threes. You can't really have 3 max players anymore, Peach, because that's going to eat up all your salary. You're going to be in the second apron. You're not going to be able to make any moves. You're just then having to re-sign all of your guys that exist with their bird rights, which might be exactly what Weltman wants to do, because being on the Orlando Magic roster is the safest place in the NBA in terms of making sure your job is not gone. But that's my only devil's advocate, that maybe Weltman sees, hey, this new CBA environment is still kind of settling in. I can see how it's affecting teams. Teams are getting a little bit tighter with those first-round picks, and so therefore the value of my picks is now increasing. So now if I go this summer to get a Trae Young, instead of having to get up 4 or 5 in a first-round picks in that trade somehow, maybe I'm only giving up 2, 3, and I'm getting a couple from other places. So that's all I can do, but it's a freaking reach, and I still don't think it excuses not making something around the margins here when the team is plummeting down the standings. The expectation, if you asked any of these players this year, was 4th place, Peach. 4th place. We're almost double that now, okay? There used to be the cheer in high school. We've got more than twice your score, doo-da, doo-da. Well, that's what's freaking happening here. We're more than 2 times away from our expectation right now. And it's a slippery slope, man. It's a slippery slope.
You just played devil's advocate, but let me tell you about the guys who love the Lord. Over at the Six Man. Once I started to see their posts take a negative turn, that's when I started to realize there's a problem. There's a real problem. Because I'll stay positive for a while too, but when those guys are like, oh, I don't know, man. I think it's over, and I don't know what happened, but I hope somebody's keeping an eye on those guys. They need to do a check-in, because I'm worried about them. Like when they get this down on the team, it's bad vibes. And like, I get it, but like, that's a good, you look at like some of the Magic creators, you see the vibes of what they're talking about. That's a good barometer for what's going on in our community right now, right? Like even us today, like there's usually we'll at least come out 50-50 on this thing. You had to wedge a devil's advocate segment in to try to like go back the other way. It didn't work, by the way. God bless you. You tried. But like when everybody is saying that, right, it's not okay. You got to take Facebook out of here, because the people in the Facebook Magic community are just insane.
Crazy.
God love them, but they're insane. They come up with insane stuff all the time. But when everybody starts doing it, including the people who you can always depend on for a positive word or we'll get them next time, I got to tell you, it impacted me. Once I started to see Jonathan start to crumble a little, I was like, it's real. It's happening. But we started to get these expectations of being up high, and now we're kind of back down where we were a couple of years ago. And it's not a great feeling, because we felt like the pieces are kind of there now. So it like hurts a little extra more. I don't know.
Yeah. No, the trajectory definitely seems to be going the wrong way, and we have to talk about it before we get off of this. Not Magic related, but Pich, you are in Dallas, and man, I don't know. Moving Luka, I don't know how moving Luka brings your trajectory in the right direction. Yep, there they are, the two pops. Switched them. What's it like, man? Is it a freaking? I saw out front there were people bringing a casket outside American Airlines Arena. Like, what is the vibe?
So,
is Nico Harrison on like protective services, FBI protective services right now? He might need to be.
Yeah, he probably should be. On Sunday, there was actually a Dallas Stars game that I was going to, so I was going down to the American Airlines Center. The game was at 5, and the Mavs were playing, I think, in Cleveland at about 2. So the fans all planned a big protest on the plaza, which was still going on when I got there, but I got there late, so I went right in. But I saw the video of everything going on out front, and I'm like, well, after the game, I'm going out there immediately. I went right out there. It was still going on, megaphones, people talking, the news is there, interviewing people, jerseys everywhere, by the way. Like, I kind of wanted to snag one, but I also didn't want to die. I'm like, this is still cool. Luka throwback city edition. I mean, it's right there. You guys are gonna leave it here?
You don't know. Someone had to pick those up. You got to know you're in that air. You're in that arena. Come on.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm just saying, like, yeah. I'm hoping it's like when team scores a hat trick and they throw the hats on the ice, because then it's free hats for the staff. but I'm not seeing any jerseys here. But yeah, it was. It's very somber. Everybody's talking about it. Even people at work that normally don't pay attention to basketball asking me about it because they know I follow basketball. Like, it is a big deal, man. It hit everybody. It hit all kinds of people. When a trade seems that insane, as the man who ushered it, he must have all the kind of doubt in his body right now. He had a press conference with Jason Kidd that was probably one of the most uncomfortable ones I've ever seen in my life. Fans are actually putting together money right now to get a billboard to fire Nico put up next to the stadium. I don't know if they've done it yet, but they're in the works, and it will be done. Trust me, because people are pissed. They're demanding refunds. And look, I like Anthony Davis, and I feel bad for him. This is a bad situation to be coming in. You know what? I also really like Max Christie. I think he's a great young player, and he could be the steal of this. This could work out for the Mavericks, honestly, because Luka hasn't been playing this season.
Right.
And Max is already in there, and Davis is coming back soon. I think in the short term, as they've been saying, it looks like it could be okay for the Mavs. But in 5 years from now, when Kyrie's gone and,
right,
the eyebrows have parted ways, it's just he's not gonna be there anymore, and Luka will still be 29 and lighten things up with the Lakers. Like, it feels like the fix is in, and there is more behind this story with the owners and their problems with trying to get gambling in Texas, and there's a lot more on it you can look into, but it's sketchy, and man, Mavs fans are pissed.
Yeah.
picks.
Yeah. For right reason. They got
rightfully so.
One first round pick from the Lakers who now have Luka Dončić, who's 25 and about to enter his prime, and he's already one of the top 4 best players in the world right now. That's crazy, man. Don't come after me in the comments, second cousins, but Nico, if you shop that around, you shop that to the Magic, like Magic fans, let's be honest with ourselves. Let's take a step back from the heartstrings, okay? Like, wouldn't you move Franz even or Paulo? Like, I'm sorry, I fucking love those guys. There are dudes, but it's Luka Dončić and more than one first round pick. So it's like, Mavs, hey, you got a potential future star and one of these guys, and we got 3 first-round picks. And as a Magic fan, you're like, we got Luka Dončić, baby. Like, this is crazy. Holy shit. But, of course, we would never do that. Because
wow.
Yeah, defense, baby. Luka's not playing defense. So him and Weltman should be tight. I don't get it. I don't know why him and Nico don't hang out.
That Mose and him would want to get together again because he plays no D. Look, I'm not saying Luka's good at defense. He could be taught how to play defense decently enough to stay on the court. You could teach that kind of stuff. You know what you can't teach? Being clutch as hell and being able to drop 70 at a moment's notice. And that's what that man was. And you just said, see ya. Bye future. Look, if Magic fans had woken up and heard Paolo Banchero had been traded, we all would have been shocked as hell.
Yeah.
But not this shocked. Because Paolo's not quite an MVP candidate level yet, but that's the kind of guy you feel secure buying a jersey. He's going to be with the team for another half decade. Like we're going to do some shit, or we just went to the finals for Christ's sake. He dragged that team to the NBA finals, and sure he got exposed in the finals because he can't play D, but they were there because that man scores. He scores at will, and there's nobody I'd want to. Look, I wouldn't want to play the Lakers in the playoffs. I don't care what seed they get. You got LeBron and Luka. Those are 2 of the best finishers in NBA history right there in the backcourt. That's dangerous. Well, not backcourt, but
Yeah, it's LeBron's a point forward.
It's crazy. It's crazy times, but part of the reason we're so frustrated is all these other teams are doing shit. De'Aaron Fox on the move to Spurs, and Jimmy Butler's going to play with the Warriors, and people are doing stuff, and we're just doing nothing, standing around watching the world go by. And it's sort of like not a great message to send to your fans, to your team, and to the rest of the league, because it says, well, we're just over here, guys. And we were getting out of that. Oh, that's just Orlando. We're going to go there, pick up a win. We were getting out of that conversation, starting to become somebody that people had to respect and talk about. And then with something as simple as a trade deadline, where you could make a simple change of picks to get someone who can shoot the basketball to not do it, it hurts that much more, honestly. It really does. It was one of the most exciting trade deadlines in any sport ever, and we did nothing.
Zilch. Zero. Well, definitely heats up the seat a little bit on Weltman, even though he got the extension last year. He's said he's got the chips ready for maybe a big move this summer. I hope the heck that comes to fruition, because this team needs something a little different to get us over the hump, to get the best out of Paulo and Franz. Man, it's been tough to watch games, but hopefully we turn it around.
They need, what they could need in the short term that you don't need to trade for is a vibe check. Somebody needs to get those guys together, and maybe they need to go on a quick bonding retreat, or there needs to be some sort of players only meeting where they kind of say, hey, let's get it together. We've seen this team play better. We know this team can play better, and they have to try to find a way to produce now. Yep. And I think maybe they can use this as a, hey, look, they have faith in us. They didn't make any moves. Maybe they're going to use that. Yeah.
Hopefully. We'll see. Didn't work last night against the Nuggets, but still a lot of season left. Hopefully we turn things around. Let us know how you're feeling, second cousins, after this crickets of a deadline. And Pich, I'll see you soon for a proper show next time. Until then, peace out, everybody.
Thanks for coming.